All right, so game one for Homolife didn't exactly work out too well. We had that about 2 minute long skirmish around mid lane that just did not end up going their way. And frankly, when you get an Aphelios, the late game just goes in your favor, and especially if Gumayushi is piloting it. So let's see what kind of adjustments we can see now that we actually have ourselves in a series instead of a best of one. Adjustments, draft differences, strategies. Let's go. Jace gone. Zoe gone. Yumi gone, actually, sorry. Lee Sin and Twisted Fate gone. Alright, so slight differences playing out here. Homolife, by the way, I gotta be on blue side. This time, T1 taking red side. So kind of playing favorites for blues versus reds. It's always been my two favorite colors. At least just both of them. I go back and forth. And there's a Twisted Fate coming from T1, actually, so limiting themselves on what kind of game they want to play, or at least limiting what Chovy wants to play. I think Faker with the Twisted Fate would be perfectly fine here, and just let Kana take over. He's already doing the most damage on his team, the 30% to Faker's 19, which just means Faker's been a fantastic facilitator for his team so far as it relates to getting the damage done and winning the games. And Kana's Graves being taken away. I can really appreciate this. Because now it's going to be what do we do topside here? Jace is gone. Do we go into the Gwen Irelia thing now? And Chovy gets the LeBlanc. LeBlanc with a slight uptick in the win percentage so far. I think it's mostly been off the back of like Team Liquid had some good stuff with Jensen on it. And really pressing the issue. So yeah, they're still just getting Gumayushi's bread and butter. Like, the Jarvan red side ban may be a little off, a little weird, and just a little bit out of character, and maybe not the most optimal draft strategy. But now Faker gets the Lissandra, and it's been picked, I think, once or maybe twice this whole tournament. Here it is again, and I think it's less. I think that said like 100% win rate or something like that. And now Def looking at the Varus. This would be a decent adjustment. The Misfortune just didn't play out like they wanted to, but the Varus poke can actually... I actually end up liking this. This feels like something that like LS would talk about, where it's like pick things that are going to basically allow or just not allow for the affiliates to interact with you. I think we saw this once over in the LEC where Rogue basically got I think it was Rogue that did a very clever comp. Might have been Fnatic for all I know. But they had like Karthus in the jungle. They had Senna. They had Varus or something. They had all these like far range pokey champions. It was like it was a Nocturne Karthus combo. And it was actually because it was Nocturne topside. It was an absolutely disgusting combo. And I think it was Han Sama, had just no chance to ever interact with it. It was absolutely ridiculous to watch. This affiliates just have no chances. The Thresh could be there, could move him around, but it just didn't matter. The damage was coming through. The Karthus was inevitable, and the Requiem just made winning that game a pipe dream, if you will. So I love this Poppy coming in here for owner. I actually can't say that I love it. It blocks out the Xin Zhao and the Varus, which is fine, and provides a lot more of a defense onto Gumayushi, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be like enough to prevent all the poke hopefully coming through from Deft. Yeah, so now HLE actually doing a really good job. They've kind of eliminated like it's 3 bans against Kana. So 3 bans against like the major damage dealer, which is quite a good adjustment in this draft and try to a very good focus, because now it's going to be, does Kana take this Poppy into the top side and just kind of, just play super tanky Poppy into just a really standard front to back team fight, or is that Poppy going into owner where it's not going to get as much resources, but it can also be very good for skirmishes and interrupt a lot of the dashes and high mobility characters like the LeBlanc, like the Xin Zhao. And this is actually the third. This isn't the third tier of what's been good for engaged supports, is because okay, Gwen, This could be a blind Gwen, actually. Okay. Blind Gwen. Don't know what this top side's going to be. Maybe the Aurelia. Maybe they're predicting Morgan to take the Aurelia again, and Connor just has no problem considering that. But this Nautilus pick has it's been hovering more. I feel like it's been getting some time in scrims. And there it goes. So the Nautilus gets secured. Rel's been hot and cold between as like a super awesome engage opportunity and, you know, also ending up just getting maybe a little misplayed and getting blown up when it's without a lot of that armor, getting stolen over, all that tankiness getting put on the character. So sort of another dash opportunity, a reliable sort of form of engage, especially with the depth charge. And Morgan picking up the Renekton into this Gwen, which feels very questionable. Like Renekton I think that he might have just shown like a 50% win rate, but Renekton just has not felt good in this tournament. He's not been the kind of standard bully topside, and we have barely seen the Renekton with like a Nidalee, you know, kill lane combo.
There's a team called WE.
Yes, I believe there might be. They've been around for a while, as it turns out.
Yeah.
I feel very scared for Hanwha's chances in the second game.
Yeah, this looks so weird right now. This is such an early game situation because the late game is still over in T1. Like, oh, the lockdown. Like the Gwen's gonna win the lane basically, but as it gets later, just her major damage, her sustain and true damage just to cut through and just ruin, you know, the Renekton's life. I don't like this draft from Hanwha Life. Like it goes back on to like Chovy has to like get out of lane and like get a lot done, but yeah. Like owner actually just needs to just get on LeBlanc, just prevent him from ever getting out of getting in or getting out.
If you can blow him up, this team's composition in terms of sustained damage goes way down. So you're gonna have to protect this guy. You're gonna have to make sure you know where Chovy is at all times. You need to know where Varus is. You need to track him because if he ends up hitting an arrow, then Chovy dashes in and gets that kill. Suddenly it's a 5v4 fight that Hanwha Life Esports wins without Aphelios almost every single time. So
that does end up, yeah, it's a good idea. Highlight there from Wolf, just highlighting that the linchpin of the entire T1 comp is basically Gumayusi on this Aphelios. Yeah, there's some situations where like Kana could carry or Faker could like get a lot done, but it's not reliable. The best source of consistent damage from T1 is going to be from this Aphelios. So yeah, that is sort of the secret combo there, and there's a lot of ways that like sort of this can happen, and it's kind of going to be on owner. It's kind of in T1's favor to never engage. It's much more to react and to just prevent anyone from getting on to Gumayusi. So I really expect that T1's going to have a passive sort of style or a come at us style, to where they might just they might have no problems walking at you and forcing you to come to them, because they have all the defensive pieces to actually just root, to block, to, you know, stun, knock up. Like there's a lot that T1 can offer for protection and for just constant peel, to where like Hanwha Life will just chase forever, and they're gonna be chasing through, you know, just traps, through scissors, through hammers, through just ice shards. It could get very dastardly, very dangerous. Alrighty, let's see. Just track the junglers real quick here. We're gonna have blue starts this time around. So bot to top for Willer, or bot to top for owner, and top to bottom for Willer. And I think we're probably gonna have like pretty full clears, so like one camp getting skipped. Chovy actually getting not the better end of the trade there. Getting a little punished by Faker. It's level 1 going a little rough for him.
I like the electrocute more. I think that the value of Aftershock early on is pretty relevant, but then you can argue, as Faker, later in the game, your only job is utilize your passive and protect the rest of the team.
Oh. Decent trades there. Chovy versus Faker. It is a headline matchup, all things considered.
And already, Chovy doing okay in it. Faker down underneath 200 health, but it's not exactly the greatest early on here for the Lissandra, but she is pretty good at weathering the storm and denying all of
Chain goes wide.
Circle of Frost is going to indicate exactly that.
Alright, so Faker getting a little bullied out here. Chovy actually finally taking the upper hand. Gonna lose his clone, but that's what these teleports are for. Both junglers on their red buff. And nothing too exciting to really go on. There's no really special pathing that we've seen so far in this series. I think this would be starting to be the time for it. T1 have like a lane, a game advantage. They can perhaps afford to be a little more creative. It may not exactly fit like their game plan. Meanwhile, Helm of Life didn't. I think they could actually afford to like do a little bit more. Do a little bit more to try to find themselves an edge, but it's just gonna be an even trade of jungle resources. Top Scuttle Crab goes over in the favor of Kana, just keeping that Gwen safe and secure. Yep, here comes the teleport back from Chovy. And I think Gamiushi actually might have gone too far. He's going to be able to flash away. The hook goes wide. And that might put Vista actually in a bit of trouble here. Gamiushi with red and purple guns. I don't think he's going to be able to get the root on. There it comes. And can they get another proc onto this? 1, 2. Oh, he's got to get the stun off. And that's going to be an incredible amount of damage. That's going to put a lot of pressure onto Deft and Vista. I don't think they're going to be able to get much done here. And Vista's going to have to actually go away. And Deft's going to be left all alone here bot side trying to capture the CS, but yep, Gamiushi and company going to shove this one out, it looks like.
One upside here is that if you can set up a play or maybe a possible dive around Gamiushi at some point, now that the flash isn't available, that might provide you a little bit of counterplay, but as a whole, probably going to be the same story which we've seen throughout the entire tournament, which is Gamiushi gets Aphelios' Faker.
Yeah, gonna have to claw his way out, and he does so. Chovy once again with a lot of control on the wave, and now if Faker goes home, it's going to be a lot longer before he makes his way back to the lane, as Vista also unlocked on his way back in after having to blow that flash bottom side.
So the type of play I was talking about with this Nautilus that we see from Vista all the time. It's something Keria loves to do. Effort, of course, from the LCK, very famous for doing this on the Nautilus, where if you have something like a Varus, you can keep that lane pushed, you have the prio, and then you just come up mid, and if Faker is not here, obviously you don't look for the pick, you just help push the wave up and grab some of the extra CS. So it's a big nice here for Chovy. We'll get a free back as a result.
Liking this from Vista, helping out Chovy, who really wanted to back that, but the wave not actually crashing. So getting a little bit of help there from his support.
Yep, keep them in pace, keep them on tempo for the game.
And you share the gold.
Top side has actually gone pretty good into Morgan's favor. It's just I don't think it's going to lead to much. 10 CS lead. Kind of need more to kind of be done with that. Yeah, Kana's actually going to equal it up with the wave that he's catching right now.
Are able to generate leads quite aggressively.
Yeah, Owner as well with a decent lead in the jungle. Hit level 5 a little bit earlier. Is able to be a couple of camps ahead of what Will has been able to do as well. So far, the Poppy, not exactly active as far as getting lanes ahead, but certainly is able to do a lot of work for himself. As Kana now looking for his first plate of the game, and will snip that one down very comfortably.
That should be actually the first play of the entire game here, so Kana doing really well. Kind of waiting and wondering when we're going to get our first little bit of bloodshed.
On the blue side, so having that teleport in those bot skirmishes, that was something Lyric joked about earlier on for the early game for this Renekton player. It's certainly something that could be very useful in the next upcoming moments. Because speaking of which, I mean, you could see the group up here. Willer is scouting this out, and having that teleport right now is so critical for Morgan.
Really like this read here, because you see the camp is gone, you see the ward, it's relatively fresh, so there's a reasonable expectation that Owner is still hovering about top side. Vista and Deft play accordingly, very respectfully, and with that knowledge, Morgan also, again, available to shove in. And the problem, of course, inherently in this matchup is, it's plate. I think he does really well in the 1v1, as should be expected of the Renekton early.
Kind of getting a little unlucky with those last hits.
It's not the kind of lead you need to secure against the Gwen, because once that Riftmaker hits, it already becomes a lot harder to just stay away from the threat of an all-in with needlework, and then post-second item, it's...
Yeah, so Kana's kind of free to roam here, and Ooh, it's gonna actually bridge to get the second proc of the chain there. So clever from Chovy.
Well, I mean, he gets a nice trade here once again.
Looked very, very cool.
It did look cool, and Vista's here. I mean, we've talked about this so much.
This is an option now.
Here with this road.
Faker is healing up. Oh, hook. Doesn't land here. I love the Hex Flash play, though.
Unfortunately,
Almost Herald time.
But the timing
So
of this
super
is
close.
huge. Just like we saw last game, you force Faker in, you shove these waves in. Herald spawning. Life Esports trying to get every
Yeah, Homolive trying to actually get a chance
they know T1's
built
and Chronicler.
for actually winning this earlier game here. Because Morgan's not getting a lot done topside. He's still sitting with like a 10 CS lead. But again, once Kana gets his Mythic done, all the advantages for Morgan on this Renekton go out the door. And now T1 here, 8 o'clock, right on the dot. Time for the Herald. Time to start taking over around this Herald. They're going to be looking for this fight here. Faker is actually walking his way back now from base. So Homolive, this is sort of their opportunity. They need to find someone, get a pick, get something.
Is this a River
But it's
King
going to
round
take a minute.
in this one as Morgan walks on through, getting some vision down. As he
Might be
gets
trying to actually get
care of
a
the
check onto Faker here.
Esports moving on in.
Shove the mid.
control around this Herald so they can collapse on the Faker, force some resources to come back mid. The Faker's going to have to clear this wave. At some point, T1 is going to have to engage if they want this.
Yeah, and T1 with limited engage options, like which we highlighted earlier. It's going to have to be Faker like going in for it. But now it's going to be like Deft and Chovy just trying to poke out Gumayushi and just the rest of T1 company. Says Herald is kind of just... Herald's kind of meaning like a lot of wasted time here for both teams.
Teleports. Just sends Kana to bot to actually catch the wave. Stop letting the wave die.
Yeah, I'm actually sad also too that T1. I mean, looks like they are going to commit to this, which is very, very greedy in terms of positioning. Your Faker has to be so careful.
Yeah, I think Faker's actually sitting topside of this. Yeah, waiting for the engage option right now. They're all sort of backing away here. Faker's been spotted on the backside. He's going to use the blast cone to get over. That means he's in. Oh, he's going to get interrupted, actually. Faker's going to have to go golden. Here he goes. Pops his ultimate, but that's still just half health on. He's going to have to flash over here, but now HLE going to be able to press forward here. The Herald gets reset, and this might actually be an opportunity for Homolive to take it. They're still quite healthy. But Morgan not in a position to actually really help his team out. The arrows from Deft gonna still be able to actually put out some damage, but T1 still stepping forward for this Chovy. Oh boy. And everyone started healing up. Faker has arrived. Chain's going to connect, but it's not going to be able to proc on to Kana. And now it's going to be exposed here. And Kana's actually going to buy the space here. Herald's going to go down here. Cannot see who's actually secured it so far, but they're going to start running away here. T1 trying to regroup for this. Morgan's gotten into the middle, but there's not much else to be done here. Willard running away here on fire. It's going to be able to survive, but Morgan's going to die for it. Kana goes far left and makes it out by the skin of his teeth here. Chovy in the middle of the comp, but Gumayushi has no problem chasing him. He's going to send him back here. Faker will collect the kill. And that's going to be a double kill for Faker, and that's going to be Herald, collected actually by Kira, and T1 take it.
Crazy extended fights here on the Rift Herald. And I gotta say, T1, it looked risky. It looked really greedy. They were there with low health points,
But they take it. They still take it. Don't care if they overinvest here, and this is going to be, like we saw last game here, early plate gold onto Gumayushi. It's going to even be first brick gold onto him, which will be a huge burst of gold influx for this Aphelios. And as soon as this guy gets late game, as soon as this guy gets the 3 items, the sooner HLE just go down just screaming and with not a lot of recourse. Oh, that's actually very clever there by Gumayushi. Just delays the situation. They engage on it, get the knockups, and just secure the Herald, but yeah, Vista can't pick it up here, and now it's going to be collected by Kiri, walking forward with the Unbreakable. And at this point, sorry, Morgan, you're going to be turned into a set of boots. And then Chovy just routed. There's not much else to be done here. And Gumayushi, this is so greedy from him to just kind of go for it, and Faker just ready to secure the rest of it.
As multiple waves were just being thrown back and forth in that bot side, not necessary at all. However, like last game, the fight I think was played out nicely by both sides.
Yep, there's the first mythic secured there by Gumayushi.
Very, very happy by the end of it.
I think the pessimistic LCK caster take on this is not a good look for our region, but you know what? That was certainly flashy, okay?
No, it was beautiful.
Dad Wolf makes his return to the world stage. I like it.
But yeah, I think the blast cone was the entire entire crux of Hanwha Esports' plan, because you're teleporting back in as Morgan, and if you don't get that engaged, if you can't get over that wall, your whole plan crumbles in an instance. That ward and that hit there by Faker to destroy the Blastco just makes this fight a 5v4, unfortunately. So we're going to see a bit of a support battle here on the bottom side of the map. This Drake is the next objective to contest, and right now, Faker has control of the mid wave.
Def's gonna get collapsed on. Kira misses a Glacial Fissure. Gets the cleanse out of Def, though. Not the worst thing in the world here. Getting some turret plate gold on the other side of the map here, so... yeah, gonna be at least a trade here. This is kind of a little weird, because getting the gold on the Willer and Morgan is alright, but denying Deft more gold and putting more gold into this Aphelios kind of feels like a really bad trade for Hanwha Life. Like, keep the overall gold even, but it's this gold going on to Morgan and Willer just feels like a waste. I'd sooner have them bot side actually just, you know, tanking the lack of gold income, because, you know, Def's sort of your next best option for consistent DPS to hopefully do anything about it. Carry gonna get caught out here, and he's actually gonna get collapsed upon, but that Unbreakable's gonna do enough, and the exhaust onto Deft is just going to deny that entire situation. So ult's spent, but there's not enough damage to be done here. Like, Deft's still building it, but he's just got a tear in his Serpent's Fang. Like, he's not going to get a lot done with that. And now Gamiyoshi gets second turret here. This is so rough actually right now. And they get their first Drake. Yeah, comes down to you're going to need to have a lot better team play, a lot better sense of how to play the whole map, and how to win the game without your exceptional mechanical ability. Hanwha Life have quite skilled players, but unfortunately the team play ends up being lackluster. The map plays end up being less than ideal. I don't know why you want to flood a bunch of turret play gold into Morgan and Willer if you're understanding how the assignment of lanes, like, yeah, you want your usual ADC bot lane 2v2, but you should, if anything, be trading where the gold is being put on. It should not be getting put onto a Renekton or a Zhao. It should be getting put onto your AD carry or even just your mid laner, because frankly, one of them has to do what is really hard to imagine, but blow up Gumiyushi. Because that's the entire win condition for Hanwha Life. Index into everything that you can, gold income, XP, what have you, and damage into killing the Aphelios. And if that cannot be done in these coming fights and skirmishes, then there's gonna be no hope for Hanwha Life to win this game. Like, we're gonna have to just, you know, fast forward to game 3, please.
I wasn't going to talk about that yet. You were saving. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's a game 3 conversation. We're gonna have that because I'm sitting back. I'm subdued. You know, I'm joining the T1 narrative.
It's not Atlas's first rodeo. Okay.
He's been around the block a few times.
He knows how to spin the narrative. We might have to do some real web spinning, man. We might see at least in game 3 at this point with how things are looking right now, because this is not a game, again, that Hanwha Esports can realistically recover from unless they get some kind of gimme picks or make a heroic play, and it's going to have to be Chovy, I think, who looks for it, because right now he's LeBlanc sitting under turret.
And that is
Well, it's a very rough situation here if you're LeBlanc sitting under turret. Can't get out. Couldn't get a lot done here. He's got a CS lead. He's not behind the curve. He's only died once over there at that Herald fight, but he's not... This is not playing out for him. He's behind on items. Faker's already with his mythic, so he can actually root, ult, and lock down someone. So if Chovy actually gets caught out by that, he will not be able to play the game. So we just go back to, like, T1's comp is the epitome of, like, I dare you to fight me. I dare you to approach me, because you will not be able to catch me. You will not be able to do the damage you want, and we will kill you. Well, he'll kill you. Gumiyushi will kill you. And either way, just... It feels like a pretty good drafting plan, at least from T1. Not exactly like, you know, playing exactly into what was being put out by Hanwha Life, but it's just very clear, like, protect the president, protect Gumiyushi. Will's going to get onto the middle. He's going to actually split them up here. They're going to have to find a way on, but the Steadfast Spreads are going to keep Chovy out of even doing anything. I love how the spell is so easy, but just timing it is so perfect. The Vista going to run away here. He's on fire. He should be able to survive, and he's going to burn down here. Kana getting his first kill, and Chovy trying to get something done, but he's getting stunned against the wall. He's going down, and that's going to be a double kill here. Kana 2-0 right now. Morgan tries to step into the river to be of some use, but it's just not there. Flash shot from Kira for nothing, but Kana's going to come out to route this. Yeah, Kana's just going to stand there and assert his dominance here. We're getting this turret, guys, and we are going to get this that much closer to a 2-0 start to this series here.
It had to be picked up. You can't let that champion go to fake it. Chovy picks it up, and then you have a composition that doesn't let the champion play the game. Every time Chovy goes for something, he gets blown.
Yeah, no, he cannot do anything here. He's going to get broody. He's going to put it against the wall. It's just, I love this, actually, because the LeBlanc got picked early on, and T1's like, you know what? Can do, can handle. Owner's going to have to flash away from this, but that's perfectly fine here. Chovy, 155. He's got high. He's got a good CS for the game, but he can't get anything done here. Because watch this. Willer goes in, and that's fine here, but now he's just bait here. Steadfast presence. Owner's just standing in between Chovy and anyone Chovy might want to target. And now Connor just gets to frontline this. Needlework just going to shred through everyone. Vista burns down here. And Def like gets good poke damage off. But there's just not much else to really be done. Chovy thinks he's going to get something done here, but Owner just says nope, puts him into the wall, knocks him up, and the rest of T1 just clean it up here. Gumayusi didn't even have to really do anything in that fight. He never had to burn a summoner spell. He was never under threat. Yeah. This comp diff right now between T1 and Homolife is just so real here. Kana, skip it slash over. That's not even, there's no problems there. He was never even in trouble.
Chovy and Deft over to the side. Owner takes a bit of damage, but he's already very tanky right now on this Poppy.
Oh, yeah.
You can't all in Faker. His Faker's ult's up. You can't all in Gumayusi because Keria is with him non-stop. You need everybody to go in all at once. They're still trying to find something.
Yeah, but they're not even going to get a chance here. The front line's going to be run through. Kana has happy just to walk forward into their faces, and that's going to be a free second Drake there for T1. There's not much. Chovy couldn't even get anything on the back end for like a consolation prize. Yeah. Well, I don't think we'll even get to Soul in this game here, but T1 are well on their way to make it to where even Gumayusi cannot be killed. As much as Wolf is right in making the call that everyone from Homolife needs to be able to go in and get Gumayusi knocked out, it's just not clear that even that would be a winning combination. And if we get late enough in this game to where the Soul comes through and that extra shielding and defenses are on Gumayusi, then it just makes him that much more immune to the burst of Deft, of Chovy, of whatever Morgan could put out. So this game is just becoming very much impossible for them to even like win or even get anything done.
These moments where you let the LeBlanc through and prove why you're not afraid of it means the rest of a best of 5 like this is so terrifying because suddenly you're like, well, do I even want to prioritize LeBlanc for Chovy going into game 3 or 4 or 5 if you were
This is what's so beautiful here about now getting into these series is what Wolf is pointing out here. LeBlanc, you could first pick it. You could have it. We have the plans to ruin such a pick. So what? So sort of the question we could have going forward into the like we could tease it a bit now. We don't want to leave this game too much. But what does Homolife do going into game 3 if they cannot pull out the win here? Because right now it just looks so looks like such a pipe dream for Homolife to really pull out here for game 2. 21 minutes in. 2 Drakes on the side of T1. They've got a 5,000 gold lead, and there's not a very clear route of how Homolife can actually win a fight.
What their former mistakes were, I think, in draft and out in this series. But having a slow start to a best of 5 is something that they've also done.
Remember,
It's just clutching at straws a little bit to talk about it right now.
remember some of the implications of T1 smashing this series, what it means for the rest of our quarterfinals as well, because T1 topped EDG, and Homolife Esports made it very close against RNG, so it means a lot for T1 to crush this hard.
Yeah, if T1's crushing this hard here going into the next one, if they're facing RNG or EDG, it could really spell disaster for either of those teams, and, you know, T1 takes out the LPL champion in EDG, and then we end up with a quite possibly, you know, North American, EU, or LCK finals. Could be quite something. Could be quite something. Oh, they're just going to walk through here. Countess is going to be the engage. He's going to snipe out Deft with his needlework here. There's going to be no chance here. Double kill over to the Gwen. And he's going to get another one here. Willer's going to try to dash away, but there's just not much else to really be done here. The auto attack reset, skip and slash. He's going to keep running this boy down here. And they're going to go over and get Barra while he's taking care of their jungler. Ignite's going to finish it off here. And that's going to be the second death for Willer. 5-0 for Kana on this. They're going to try to get the counter kill, but I think they're going to have a chance here. Hollow Mist going to help identify this, but Morgan, I think you're just going to feeding a lot of health over here in Kana. There's going to be the teleport from Faker to try to save the situation. He's going to die. Faker is going to go a little bit too far here, but that's going to read it. Oh, he's going to actually have to ult up here, but Chovy's going to be ready for this. And that's all that's really going to happen. The auto, oh, just enough. Oof. Oh, like 80 health there or something. Goodness. Clearly greatest player of all time.
He could have also just not teleported, but I think the idea is, okay, well, there might be more players.
He teleports a little bit sooner than that. He might actually prevent Chovy from blowing up Kana, and that's a good bit of shutdown gold to go into Chovy's hands.
Little bit of over-eagerness there coming through.
No, you gotta love it. That's plenty of eagerness. Let's go for the play here. Kana right now is the hard carry here. 5-1-1. He's running through people. He's sniping Deft out from across the river. Get at me. Like Gumayushi was theorized as like the hyper carry of this team, but if Homalife can't even deal with Kana just walking at them, like how are you even going to begin to even think about getting to the back line here? Because he just looks at 4 of them and he's like, I'm just going to walk forward this, dodges the hook, and it's like, oh, there's Deft, gets one up, and then just the final shit just snipes him, and he just gets to keep walking forward here, takes out Vista, and he's just allowed to just walk through. There's nothing stopping this man. Yeah, Nautilus is an engaged support, not a defending support.
Yeah, I'm starting to see why Varus hasn't been picked so far this tournament, as Deft has had next to no impact on this one whatsoever.
Yeah, Deft on this Varus pick just kind of equals a fall apart moment. There's not much really being done here for him. And it's gonna be Mountain Drake right here. It's gonna be a third Drake for T1. Soul's about to get primed. Gas in the tank here. Third Drake on the menu, and yeah, Homalife just forced to stand and watch here. If their base isn't intact, there's not a lot of pressure. Just the reality that if they step into their own jungle, they die. Three items now for Gumayushi for those keeping track.
How do you pick up the pieces going into the game 3s, and then if you win it 4s and 5s in terms of drafting and strategy here, because Tijuana just one step ahead.
Yeah, it's really, really rough. You're gonna fight for this blue buff. It is going
nice.
there by Chovy, so at least
Security and taking. Gonna be hooked in here. Owner forced to flash out. Faker's gonna go and actually try to make the engage off, but it's gonna ult up Vista. Now Chovy kind of giving a little bit of free reign here, and this might actually be a chance. Good damage coming through. Faker getting super low. Shutdown gold's going to go over to Def, but now it's going to be the re-engager. Owner going to get the knock-up. But that's going to be a second kill. It's going to be a dead Morgan, actually. So trading evenly is good. I'm not sure if that actually is going to be the best thing here for Homalife, to be honest.
With how gimme of a fight that was for T1, the fact that this is this close is a bad sign. I mean, T1 were way out of position, and they still end up trading it back.
Yeah. Now Connor just step in. Jeez. No fear. Oh, Owner has no concerns right now. This man's on vacation with his Poppy is such a fun pick for just surprising amounts of damage, but infinitely tankier than you would think she'd be. Yeah, just wait 3 minutes, and then Gumayushi will never be in threat, and Kana may be able to just 1v5 it, honestly, because he's already looking like he can do that now. That's what we cast our eyes forward, right, to a possible third game, and then do you say Humble Life just draft scaling? I don't think that works against T1 with how they're playing right now.
No, I think taking away the Aphelios is a good start here.
Yes.
Gumayushi has
Yep.
been so extraordinarily comfortable. T1 have looked so clean playing around him on the bottom side, and Deft has honestly looked invisible this whole series.
Yeah, and that's not what that's not what we've seen from him in Worlds, and that's what we saw from him in the Gauntlet, and even the very end of regular season for Summer. And it's disappointing to see, but it's also part of T1's whole game plan to put the Aphelios in the top side of the map early, try to get extra plate gold on him, and use that Rift Herald timing there. So I think just putting a wrench into the gears of T1, you know, at the drafting stage like that is one good way to start. But I mean, we're looking at 2 minutes until a Mountain Soul versus a Varus that isn't fed. Like, it doesn't get much worse than this. I mean, I don't see a world where Hanwha Live Esports is going to suddenly bring this around unless T1 starts donating picks.
Yeah, it's going to take a donation charity from T1 for Hanwha Live to actually have a prayer into this one. Because it's going to have to take for Def to get into like a ridiculous amount of anti-heals. Because, yeah, like Gumayushi's going to be able to just heal himself up with Red Gun especially. And then just more lethality. And I just don't see really that happening here. Mild cross map here. Morgan and Choviki with their teleport's going to be able to at least get this turret and maybe get back in time for Baron, I guess. Or to actually defend the spot lane. Yep, and now gets the scary part. Oh, big hook here, trying to actually get Kana out, and the damage has arrived here from with Chovy. No one's really taken a lot of damage yet. Nice, good hammer there from Poppy. Damage there onto Faker. All right, not too much worried there. Both teleports ruined, taken, or at least used by Hanwha Live. And now T1 gets to look towards the Baron without having to really worry about much cross-map pressure. And Morgan's super deep here. They know where he is now. Yeah, he's going to have to play super safe here, but this Baron's going. Red-white guns for Gumayushi right now. Yep, Glacial Fish should actually block it out, and Willow's not able to get in here. It's going to be secured by Owner. Now comes the devolved fight here, and that's going to be a dead Vista, dead Chovy, and it's just running wild here. Gumayushi actually getting his time. He's going to get himself a triple kill, and Deft now needing to run for his base, run for the hills, but I just don't think you're going to be able to do much here. And now Owner is just going to run him down himself here. Maybe trying to give this one over, but that's going to be an ace secured by Owner. Game 2 goes to T1, and we're going to be going for Game 3 here. Match point for T1. Will Hanwha Live be able to get themselves together in this next draft, in this next game, to give us a series?
Game after game here. Chovy's not able to carry. He's not able to pop off. Morgan not getting ahead. And these early game, extremely tempo-based compositions that we're seeing, Hanwha Live Esports trying
They're
to
not
run
working.
extremely